Hey there, so welcome back, and in this lesson we're going to look at network services. Now, networking is an interesting topic and it could be quite complicated as well. Now, I'm going to keep it high level here, but if you're part of Azure Solution Architect, we are going to go a little bit deeper onto this networking diagram, and you can ask for a more in-depth networking for beginners where we go and discuss a lot more detail around 10 or 11 lessons in that module or bonus class where we go and deep about networking one by one and go a little bit bigger. So this is how the big network look like, and these are different connectivities and everything in a when you deploy your application on cloud, you or someone who is a network engineer or an architect will design the networks. And what I mean by that network, this is what I'm going to explain, where you have some databases running, your virtual machines running, you have a load balancer. So this is a three-tier architecture where you have a DB tier, app tier, and a web tier. You might have a Bastion host. I'll explain you what that as well in a minute. And then you can also might want to connect this whole cloud with your on-premise connectivity. So what are these different options and how do you access, which will cover or explain all of this in this network here or diagram here. So what you have is you have a outer Microsoft Azure cloud, outer data, outer which is representing cloud. In that, first thing you do is create a network. And network is nothing but a continuous block of your IP addresses that is being used by your virtual machines, load balancers, database servers, or anything that needs an IP address will be taking IP address from that network. Now, this network is also used to so that your machines can talk to each other, or machines in cloud can talk to each other. So, there's a concept called VNet or virtual net we define. Again, as I said, probably in the respective modules, we might go deep depending on which training you're part of. So you have virtual network, and in that you define or you create different subnets. So you might have database tier in which you define your or you keep your all your databases. So I create one subnet inside that, we create a DB tier. Then I'm going to create a SQL database or Azure SQL database on that. And I might create that Azure SQL database as either a platform as a service, or I might say I want to install a virtual machine in that network and I'll manually install my database on top of that. So that's database tier. Then I might define a apps tier. So another subnet for apps tier, and then deploy my virtual machines and app on top of that. Then I'll probably define a web tier in which I'll have my load balancers. I might create some virtual machines and deploy my um, manually my web servers here as well. Now, all this, if I want to access them, all of them machines, depending on what kind of a virtual machine it is, if it's a Windows machine, I might have to open up port number 3389. Or if it's a Linux machine, I might have to open port number 22 because these services listen on that particular port. So, in so, but then 3389 or 22 port number may not be secure. A lot of companies don't allow these ports. They only allow 443, which is on HTTPS, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, securely, HTTPS, and that listens on port number 443. So what Microsoft have done is Microsoft have also defined another service called Bastion host or a jump box. So instead of going directly to these machines as an administrator, I'm currently jumping onto the Bastion host, which is also called as jump box over port number 443, and I'm doing it through my Microsoft Azure portal. And then once I'm in this jump box, I can then connect from this machine. I can connect all of these machines on securely. So that's one option. Now, if I have my end users, they want to access my application, for them, I'm going to define a load balancer, and my load balancer will be again listening on securely 443. This is for my HTTP traffic. The other traffic which I did earlier was for my connecting to the virtual machines as an administrator. This will be used by administrators, this particular line. They will come to the load balancer, and load balancer will then forward that request to my app server. I'm assuming my app server is listening on port number 8000. And from there, I'm saying allow the connection from my apps tier to my SQL database server or wherever my database is running. And these little here are firewall or network security group. And we drill a hole and say allow my port number 443 from the internet on for load balancer. Then for this particular subnet, allow only port number 8000 from, and that too only from this particular subnet or this load balancer machine. Similarly, from SQL database, allow only port number 1433 from this particular subnet or this particular VM. We can restrict. Now this is, we are doing everything on cloud. But what if I want to connect with on-premise? So in order to connect my this cloud with on-premise or in my customer data center, so that my this network which is on Azure cloud is merely an extension to my on-premise or my customer data center network, so that a machine here can talk to the machine here securely, but on a private IP rather than public IP. So I don't need to go on in an unsecure manner. So for that, you have something called as a tunnel or gateway. You connect with on-premise using two methods. One is VPN gateway or second is express route. Now VPN gateway, your data is moving securely over the internet, but there's a dedicated tunnel or pipe between these two networks. Express route, on the other hand, is a bigger dedicated pipe which is only open between your customer data center and Azure, and it's not available to the public. So you have a dedicated bandwidth over there. But express route is slightly expensive. So this is in a nutshell about the load balancer you do. Now there's other advanced things you can also do, or which I'll explain. But as I said, I have explained all these things in detail, where we go and explain what is VNet, what is subnet, gateways, firewall, load balancers, VPN, what is Bastion host, VPN gateway in detail in the respective module in another bonus called networking for beginners. That's for my Azure Solution Architect team members. So that will help. If you're Azure Solution Architect, it will help you to understand this because that's your primary role. Now, one more thing which I wanted to highlight here is that within a Azure network, this is my VNet. I might have DevOps services, so I might deploy DevOps services externally. I might have SQL databases, might be you might want to define them externally from this VNet. You can do that as well. But there's another service called AppGate, your WAF, which is for Web Application Firewall, or your Application Gateway, which is a layer 7 load balancer. Again, if you're not from a networking background, if you don't understand, don't worry. This is just to give you an option that this is another typical network connectivity where you connect, your customers connect through the internet using a WAF, which is a web application firewall, and they access through layer 7 load balancer, which is application gateway, and then your applications are here. For on-premise, your employees, they connect through the VPN gateway through either a express route or site-to-site VPN. Again, what these are in dedicated modules. So that's about networking for users. If you want to create VNets, subnets, you can simply go and on the cloud and say create a VNet, and then inside that you create these subnets. Now that's about networking. Now in the next lesson, we're going to talk about storage service and the storage account. So I'll see you in next lesson.
Well, this was our Azure Cloud expert, Mr. Atul from Team K21Academy, and this clip was taken from our free course for Azure beginners. Even if you're a beginner, this course will give you a holistic overview of Azure Cloud, Azure DevOps, Azure Data, Azure Security, and whatnot. And if you're already working on Azure Cloud, then this course will help you to revise your basic concepts. In order to subscribe to this course, all you have to do is just go to k21academy.com/Azure and subscribe to this course. And within 50 minutes, you'll be getting an email. Under that, you'll be getting your login credentials and our WhatsApp group where you can ask your every doubt related to Azure Cloud. Thank you, and I will see you in the free course.